Let's go to Jerusalem now and bring in Gerald Steinberg, the Professor of Politics at Bar Ilan University. Gerald, thanks for joining us again at short notice. This move by Australia to bar an elected MP from your Knesset from coming here because he argues for the elimination of Hamas and the response by Israel to ban some of our diplomats. This is the worst the Australia-Israel relation has ever been in, isn't it?
It's pretty bad. My question is, and I'm asking you and Australians, is why the government, why your Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, why your Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, chose to put a visa ban on Simcha Rothman. It reminds me of what was done with Hillel Fuld, my former student and an AI and computer expert in Israel, who was banned from visiting Australia and actually helping to develop business ties in the high-tech area between Australia and Israel. He was also denied a visa on very flimsy political grounds. Somebody's giving them very bad advice. I don't think that either Albanese or Wong are paying attention to the day-to-day activities of Israeli politicians. He's not, Simcha Rothman is not a minister. He's not in the cabinet. He is the head of a committee, and he is he's like other Israeli MPs. He's an elected member of the Israeli parliament, and he was invited to speak to the Jewish community and to provide support after that horrendous march we saw in Sydney just a few days ago and some of the other attacks and anti-Semitism, and the government banned him. So somebody's giving them very bad advice. I think that needs to be a question to be asked.
Let's not let them off the hook for bad advice, because they ought to know enough about this not to make these appalling decisions. There's been a pattern here, as you allude to. There's been 3 or 4 other reasonable people from Israel banned from this country, but this is especially egregious because Simcha Rothman is an elected official, and he's been criticised for his message against Hamas. And as he told my colleague Sharry Markson last night, the government seems to get the import of these messages the wrong way around. Here's Simcha Rothman.
A message that says that Hamas is bad and Israel is good, anyone who watched the videos from October 7th should not call this message a hate and device, a hate or division. That's reality, that's truth, that's common sense, not hate, not division.
It's horrible to see this unfold, Gerald. Explain to me this, though. It seems to me that our government, like so many of the radical protesters around the world, seem to equate Hamas with the legitimate aspirations for a sovereign state sometime of the Palestinian people. Tell us how these two things are actually quite different.
They're entirely separated. It's like 180 degrees, polar opposites. If we're going to have a Palestinian state, and let's remember historically there's never been a state of Palestine. When Palestinian Arabs were given the opportunity in 1948, 47 to establish a state next to the Jewish state, Palestinian Jewish state of Israel, they all said no, and they invaded, and they're still trying to destroy Israel. Hamas is a continuation of that. The very explicit goal of Hamas is to wipe Israel off the map. That's what they were planning to do, tried to initiate on October 7th, not just by killing, slaughtering, raping, destroying families, all the absolutely horrid things they did on October 7th. The goal there was to ignite a Middle East war with Iran, with Hezbollah, joining in against Israel to wipe Israel off the map. Nothing's changed since 1948, when the Palestinian Arab leadership wanted to do that and failed. So if you want to have, and you think that there's I call it a myth or an imagined 2-state peace solution, you certainly don't want to have these kinds of leaders represented by Hamas is the people who are calling the shots. And that's what we're going to have if the plans, if the perspective, if the very warped political, you call it, I think, kabuki theater that we're hearing from the Australian government. And frankly, we're hearing the same thing from Macron. I think Macron is more cynical in France, or Keir Starmer in Britain. It's not clear to me who's leading. Is the Australian government, Albanese and Wong, are they leading and are the others following, or is it the other way around? My sense is it's the other way around. They're taking their cues from exactly.
They are following France and Britain and the leftists in Europe, and it's frightening and ugly to see it unfold. Thanks for talking to us again about it, Gerald. I appreciate it. Gerald Steinberg there, who's the Professor of Politics at Bar Ilan University in Jerusalem.